Okay, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. We are thankful if you are a Patreon patron. We appreciate your support. We are very thankful if you're a YouTube subscriber. That also helps pay the bills, and you're getting the show real time if you do either of those two things. At a minimum, if you have an Amazon Prime account, please link that to your Twitch Prime account. We get paid a couple bucks a month for the privilege. You have to renew that, so please check out the instructions in the show description and it'll tell you how to do that. If you don't have any of those things, which is hard to believe anybody's not an Amazon customer, but if you don't have any of those things, please follow me on Twitter at Michael Pachter. Today's question from SIFTD from ZN Trip. Square Enix just sold several Western studios, along with Tomb Raider and other IP to Embracer for just $300 million. What are your thoughts on this acquisition? Why would Square Enix sell studios and IP that cater to the far more lucrative Western market? What do you think of Embracer Group's rapid expansion over the last few years? It lost $431 million last year. I really like Embracer, and I think they're somebody that is saving the industry. So I'm glad. I mean, the three guys out there who I think deserve a lot of credit for saving the industry are Take-Two, who bought WWE out of the THQ bankruptcy, and say whether the franchise is good or not, they're trying, and they're growing, and they're trying to build up their business, and they're buying mobile, and they bought Zynga. The second one, Warner Brothers, who bought Mortal Kombat out of that bankruptcy, and Embracer, who bought everything else. And, so Saints Row. I mean, and whether Saints Row is a big game or a crappy game, it's fun. And I'm really glad that there are guys out there keeping this stuff alive. I think it was really, really good that Embracer bought Gearbox. I think the Gearbox guys are talented and make great games, and they needed a home. And I think Embracer is cobbling together a powerhouse. I really do. Now, all the Square Enix titles, Deus Ex has not been good since Warren.
Not a huge seller.
No, since Warren Spector made it. Tomb Raider's great, but none of these things were that profitable. And I didn't look at the terms of the deal, so I couldn't tell you how much of that was cash and how much was stock. Embracer will make money on a $300 million acquisition. But remember, they're buying these studios, meaning they have to pay all the salaries of the people and keep them going. So it's not free for them. It takes a big cost out of Square Enix. Square Enix was a bad company to be making Western-focused titles. Square Enix makes Eastern-focused titles, and Final Fantasy is, as much as I'm sure all the fanboys in the U.S. who play it love it, is not a 10 million unit seller in the U.S. It's a couple million unit seller, whereas it's a 10 million unit seller in Japan. So Square Enix is really a Japanese-centric company, and I think that there was never a good fit with the IDOT studios. I just don't think that ever made any sense at all. They muddled along, and I remember it wasn't the most recent one, was it? One of the Tomb Raiders came out, and they fired a bunch of people and said that the game sold something like 6 million units in the first 3 months, and they said it was disappointing. Remember that?
It sold over 10 million.
There you go.
And they said it was disappointing.
Yeah, that was it. So it sold 10 million units, and they're like, we're disappointed in the performance. So I don't know what these guys think, but 10 million units is a lot. 10 million units is like an average Assassin's Creed. I mean, that is really good. So I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but Embracer will be really happy to sell 10 million units. I think that everything I've heard, Saber is part of Embracer. Those guys love working there. I've seen Randy. He loves how they treat him. All those guys, Randy at Gearbox. Everybody I know who's gone to work for Lars at Embracer loves the guy. He is a really good hands-off, let the creators create. So I expect that the games will be great. And as I said, Gearbox is hit and miss, but generally hit. Saber's been pretty good. I am confident that those guys are going to love working for them. And whether Embracer lost money or not, they're not going away. Lars is a billionaire. They're not going away. He'll figure it out. So I'm really happy. I think that one of the things that's really hurt the industry the last 20 years is 3DO going away and Acclaim going away. and THQ going away and Atari going away, and IDOS getting absorbed into a Japanese company. Shrinkage is not good. That just gives you fewer choices as a gamer, and I think guys like Embracer and Take-Two and Warner Brothers keeping some of these franchises alive is really healthy for the industry. So, talk to Ed Boon about working at Warner Brothers. He loves those guys. He just thinks they're awesome, and they let him create, and that's what he's good at. So, I think Embracer's the same, and I think that ultimately you're gonna have more choice as a customer, as a consumer, and that's gonna make you happier. So, I'm hopeful. Like I said, 10 million Tomb Raiders. That's great, and that game was fun. I mean, it was a good game. I was really skeptical about that game. I didn't think it would be fun, and it was good. I don't know what Namco Bandai does anymore. I don't know what they do. Capcom's the only one of the Japanese companies, and Sony obviously, that's still making games. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't follow Square Enix. I don't know what they're doing. No idea. So couldn't tell you. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor. We are thankful if you are a Patreon patron. We appreciate the patronage. We are thankful if you have linked your Twitch Prime account to your Amazon Prime account. We get paid for that. We are thankful if you're a YouTube subscriber. And if you're YouTube or Patreon, you're getting this real time. If you aren't paying for Patreon or paying as a YouTube subscriber, you have to wait a week to get the content for free. So it's a week late, and obviously all my payments change every week. But at least follow me on Twitter at Michael Pachter. We'll see you next week.